What's going on, fellow ESO fans? Dutch here, bringing you another Magic DK PvP build. This one that utilizes Silks of the Sun, which, if you don't know, is the 5-piece bonus that increases your flame damage by almost 400. And I was able to run Hellfire Citadel enough, which is a 12-man dungeon, or trial I should say. And I was able to get 3 pieces of the jewelry. I got 1 piece of clothing, which is a belt, and I actually had to buy the sword. This gear has definitely improved the damage overall for the Magic DK. I have a test video that I also will upload, so you can check back for that. It's not in-depth testing, it's just, hey, to the common user, can I see an increase in damage? Yes, I can. The whip, once I was fully buffed, uncritted, was hitting for about 5,500, which was nice to see on a Magic DK. Before, it was for me, it was just over 4,000 with the other build, so it was nice to see the increase. And it's not just this gear, there's some other abilities I'm utilizing on this build, which we'll get into. But as you can see, he is running Silks of the Sun. The jewelry, I have 2 spell damage glyphs on there with a magic regen on 1. The armor set he is wearing is Kagranax, and I put the Haikijo glyph on the big pieces, the head, the chest, and the legs, just to get some more resources. Reinforced on the chest. The other 4 pieces have Impenetrable, and there's 1 piece that's currently Divine. This piece on the Valkan Scoria is Infused. I'm still running it, but RNG isn't being so kind to me. I need to get a Divine heavy helm on this right now, but he does have Undaunted, so he does have the 1 medium and then the belt's light with Silks of the Sun over there to get his Undaunted all the way up. And if you don't have your Undaunted passive leveled, I highly recommend you do that, because the extra resources you get is definitely beneficial in PvP. What's also beneficial as well is having Impenetrable on your gear. So if you don't have that, highly recommend for a Magic DK that you run some Impen, or just in general in PvP, unless you're a total gank build, going all out damage. Now, this build is not like a Stam Blade or a Magic, or excuse me, a Stam Dragon Knight, because I have those characters as well. It doesn't hit as hard as those, but if you like playing the Magic Dragon Knight, which is my favorite class, this build has definitely helped me to, I guess you could say, elevate my game, you know, with doing more damage. So with that being said, currently on his dual wield bar, which is our main damage bar, he has a Sword of Kagranak and a Sword of the Sun. Both have sharpened. I also have points in a spell penetration on my champion tree, which I'll get into later. But since we're not wearing 5 light, we are wearing 5 heavy, you're going to want to make up for that that missing spell penetration. So this is how I get around that right here, and as well as the spell penetration from the champion tree. The back bar is a resto bar, and this is good as far as, hey, we're able to get some resources back, because if you hold and do a heavy attack, you get 30% of your magic back. If you do a heavy attack, you also will get a 25% increased healing for about 3 seconds, which is nice. But it's also a channel, it's a range, so it allows you to build ult. If you hold block and get hit with a magic attack, you also can get some magic back. You couple the ability of the resto staff with the 5-piece heavy armor, and once every 4 seconds we get hit, the heavy armor constitution passive allows us to get about 1,000 magic and 1,000 stamina back, which is really helpful as far as sustain is concerned. I do have a disease on both of these right here, so I can try to, when I'm weaving my attacks in between doing abilities, I'm trying to stick my opponent with this to put a health defile on him, so his healing isn't as effective and my dots can just go to work on him, so to speak. I do have sharpened on both, have sharpened on the back bar, not because it's my main damage bar, but when I have dots on and I swap bars, I need the maximum spell penetration I can get out of my dots, so to speak. On the Sword of the Sun, the other glyph is a weapon damage and a spell damage bonus that procs for 5 seconds for like 348 or something. So it just helps out too, because every time we're weaving our light attacks in, trying to build our ult back, and just constantly trying to animation cancel, it's just nice to have. Any increase we can get is beneficial for us. The Valkynscoria set with this is a must. If you're running Silks of the Sun, I highly recommend running Valkynscoria. I'm also a big proponent of Bloodspawn if you don't have the Valkynscoria, so there may be some people out there who want to put on a Molakina set or just one piece right there. That's totally fine, you can do that too, but you know, the meteors are hitting for almost 5k from this sucker, so it's really nice to have. What also is hitting really hard from that helps with Silks of the Sun is the Shooting Star. I have tested it. Again, there will be a video you can check in the video section on the page, and you should be able to see a Silks of the Sun test. It's very generic. It's not in depth. I'm not that smart. Just an average dude who loves PvPing and loves the Magic Dragonite. And I am so sick and tired of this class being nerfed. You know, we have paid for it since the 1.5 days, pre-1.5, when we were gods in PvP. So I hope they stop nerfing this class and bring it back to its glory. And this gear is definitely a set in the right direction for that. As far as his abilities, I had to go unique here. Now we always have our Flame Lash because it's going to proc a free health, you know, potential heal for us, which is nice. The dot and our soft CC for Burning Talons. Remember, as a Dragon Knight, Magic Dragon Knight specifically, you really want to be up and close, and you really want to try to control that fight. Try to CC him as much as possible. Now this is a soft CC, so what that means is they can still cast and stuff while they're in it, even though they're being damaged. If they are in it, you should be trying to maneuver behind them so you can just, you know, kind of keep controlling that fight and keep wailing away on them. But if it's like a Stam user and they're casting Shuffle, which will give them immunity to this kind of a skill, you need to stop finger mashing this button, and you need to switch to a hard CC, which is on the other bar. And a hard CC, they're not going to be able to get out of that unless they have CC immunity up, which you can tell by the little swirling, you know, things around their feet. We have the Burning Embers. You always want to try to open up the fight with the Burning Embers, because the moment you reapply it, you'll get a heal back from it, which is very helpful. And if it stays on the entire fight, not only does it do a lot of damage, but it's a really nice heal. I've had a 21,000 heal from this because it stayed on a guy the whole fight. So, plus if it gets purged off, you guessed it, you still get a heal, so it's okay. Deep Breath, I always use Deep Breath over Draw Essence because I like to have that potential to interrupt an enemy and then go to the free proc on the Flame Lash right here, which is always nice. Now this is unique, this is on the bar, and before you could never get me to put Engulfing Flame on my Magic DK in PvP. Prior to this gear, me attaining the Silks of the Sun gear, I would not have put this on my bar. It just wasn't worth it to me, because the only use for it I had before was it's an undodgeable attack. So if you got the roly-poly guys rolling all around you, you spit this on them, they're not going to, you know, get out of it. You know, they have to purge it or it's going to run its course. Not only is it a dot that does a really good bit of damage, that's not even the main reason why I put that on there. It's not because it's undodgeable. I put it on here because it has an affected increase by 10% on your flame attacks. So it's going to increase their attacks by 10%, and they're all flame attacks. And we're going to try to maximize the Silks of the Sun as much as possible, okay? That's why this ability is on there. And I've had really good results. Again, you can go to the test video that I'll upload in a little bit, and you can check that for yourself. Now, I always use my Devouring Swarm here. One, it's just my comfort. That's just where I like to put it. In case I'm yellowing in, I'm on this bar already. It's my max damage bar, so pop it, get some health. It's just a good ult all around. You know, it's cheap and it does a really good job. This one's a little bit different. Obviously, we still have Elusive Mist because you need some sort of movement on the battlefield, right? And this is a way, instead of having to roll dodge out of a CC or out of a soft CC, you just pop this, get out of it, hold block, come out of the Elusive Mist, and go back to doing whatever it is you were doing. We got Empowering Change. This sucker has been so buggy. Before I could put the target reticle over a target's head and get it to work. Now I find I have to do like one of my light attacks from my staff has to land, and then I can try this skill and it'll work. That's been my experience with it. So hopefully they just get it fixed where it's just completely reliable. But right now, that may work for you magic DKers out there. If you're having trouble getting your change to go out, do a quick light attack, let it land, and then try to cast it again. Yeah, I had to get rid of my accelerating drain, man. I don't know what is going on in PvP, but I've been noticing a lot of people just hold block, and my accelerating drain was not going through their block to fear them. It was not going through to fear them, so I had to come up with something to give me my hard CC, so I put Fossilize back on my bar. Again, I don't know if that was intended or if that always happened. I don't know, but it's definitely been going on a lot. I do still slot Accelerating Drain, you know, but mainly with this build, this is what I've been running around with. So let's look at the positives of putting Fossilize on your bar. The positives is it's a 15-meter range, which is great. It's a hard CC, which means if they're holding block, this sucker's going to go right on through it, and it's going to bring them down as long as they're not CC immune, okay? So that's really good. Plus, it'll still give you your procced free Flame Lash, which is a free skill ability that doesn't cost magic, and will give you health back. So that's always nice, right? This is also a new add-on. It's not even fully leveled because I don't care about the heal. I mean, the heal is a nice byproduct, but that's not why we're using this ability. This ability is slotted because it gives you the Minor Berserk, which is going to give you an increase of 8% overall damage to your attacks. So we stack this along with our Engulfing Flames of increased 10%, and you see where you get an increase of 18% on your damage, just right off the bat right there. Now, in conjunction with that, we also have Volatile Armor. So the Volatile Armor, we will always want to keep that up because as a passive, you get an increased healing by 12%, plus you get your physical and spell resist up by just over 5k. You couple that with the physical and spell resist you get from this skill, which is a nice byproduct. And it looks really good as far as stats-wise go. And then the heal is just a byproduct. I mean, it honestly is. And then we got Shooting Star back here. Again, Silks of the Sun does affect this. It's flame damage. I was testing against a 19,000 spell resist opponent, and against 19,000 spell resist, only buffed with the Combat Prayer and Empowering of 20% spell damage, my Shooting Star hit for just over 11k. So it's really nice, and it's hitting really good right now. And the only reason that's on there is if you can time someone to hard CC him down, and then you can cast this before they can break out of it, or as far as they don't have any stam left to hold block. And it hits really good now with this build. So it's not my first choice. I'm definitely all about just burning them down and then popping AoE ult as far as Devouring Swarm to finish them off. So because you can really, it's easily to block Shooting Star now. Hold block, roll out of it, whatever you want to do. It's easy to, but if you can time a CC correctly, you can get them and you can hit them pretty hard. As far as his overall stats, we're looking at, and again, you have to understand, we're not running, a Sork build that has like 40,000 something magic. You know what I mean? We're not running a magic trial DK build with 40,000, magic. So I just told you that this guy can hit a shooting star on a guy with almost 20,000 spell resist for 11,000, for crying out loud. All right, his overall magic is almost 35,000. That's not too shabby, not too shabby at all. He's also got, this is just ridiculous, he's got like 30,000 health right here. So you got a lot of health to take that, to take punishment, so to speak. And then I'm a firm believer between 15 and 18,000 stamina on your magic DK and PvP, because you're going to be doing some blocking. You're going to have to roll dodge every now and then, and it's good to have some sort of stamina pool there, okay? Magic recovery, I really like to have between 16 to 1800 on my magic recovery, but with this build I'm really trying to milk everything I can, just find that perfect balance, and for me this works. I just got to be really disciplined, because magic DK abilities already cost a lot as it is, so I try not to just dump all my magic and stuff on abilities too quickly, but I really got to time everything. Now, as far as the spell damage, unbuffed, we're sitting at 2295. All right, so you look at 2295 and you think, well, that's nothing. But you got to look at the Silks of the Sun gives you an extra 400 spell damage on your flame attacks almost. So really, we're looking at 2695 is really what you should be thinking to yourself right here. So for Magic DK with these stats and this kind of recovery, that's a lot. You can do some damage. You really can. As far as spell critical, on my Magic DK in PvP, I really don't care about spell critical. On my Trials DK, absolutely. I want that thing like over 60%. But in PvP, it's not so important to me, because I just want to be able to do reliable, constant damage. Reliable, if someone's out there and they can figure out how to get these kind of stats and get their crit up, by all means, man, post it. Share it with the Magic DK community, because any kind of knowledge we can get out to each other is only going to help us. Spell resist, I mean, he's at 20.7 right now, and like almost 16k on physical. I mean, he's looking pretty sharp. He is definitely looking sharp. I mean, now we're at 27.3 and 22.5 right here when we're fully buffed up. That's a lot of resist, so you're definitely survivable. Definitely survivable. And again, this doesn't make you undefeatable. You know what I mean? You're not going to be unkillable, all right? But the build helps to make you survivable, all right? And be able to do reliable damage. Again, when you get a whip that hits for like 5,500, it's nice, and it's a non-crit, whip. It's just a buffed whip, so that's really nice. He is using the Tri-Stat purple food right now, and this is usually what I'm running. If I do with the Tri-Stat food, I run the Atro for magic recovery. If I do use the Tri-Stat, the drink, the one that increases your recovery for all of these, I'll use the purple one. If I do run that, I'll actually swap this out for spell damage, or the Mundus that gives me more magic. But really, this is usually how I run this guy, just like he is right now. Okay. Oh, and that buff we're talking about, looking at it right now, you should see like 2600, because there's an invisible 400, almost 400 spell damage increase here. Remember, because we're wearing heavy armor, you also get that extra 200 spell damage when he's fully procced from being attacked. So you put 20% empower spell damage on top of that, and then you put 18% from our other two abilities we talked about. His damage is up there. It's up there. There's no doubt about it. I definitely feel like I'm hitting in PvP now on this guy. I mean, before I was hitting on the Reaper build, but I definitely feel like on Hellfire Warlord here that he is really hitting. As far as our champion points, I got 100 in an elemental and 57 in a spell erosion. You definitely want to pour some in here. If you're wearing 5 piece heavy, you definitely want to pour some in here. You got to, okay? I do have 10 in a blessed. None into the Atro. I'm showing 10 in a Thermaturge, which is your dot. I got 18 in a Spell Shield right now. And I'm going 70 into Hardy, 60 in Elemental Defender. I don't like the poison dots hitting me, and I don't like these guys with their two-handers coming up and wailing on me and thinking they're just going to basically two-shot me down. It's not going to happen, especially you stand blades out there. I'm talking to you. You're not going to be able to do it. So 70 into Hardy, 60 in Elemental Defender, because one, we are a vampire. We do keep them in stage 4 because you get that lower ult cost, and you get the abilities from the vampire skill line, but Fire Siege still hurts, man, so you definitely want to have some in here. Plus, it's nice to have the 120 for the Unchained passive right here, which is nice when you do roll out. So that way your next roll will be cheaper. We got 29 in the recovery on this one. I got 67 to my reduced magic cost on the Magician, 100 into Arcanist because I like to have that 25% magic regen. It's always nice to see. And then 10 into Tumbling because you are going to have to roll dodge at some point in PvP. It's just going to happen. Now, if you can't get the sword with Sharpen because this was like 350,000 and you don't run Hellraw Citadel and have the time, an axe will work just fine. A maul will work. You're not going to get the optimum out of it, but look at the pros if you do an axe. If you do an axe and you put your passives into the dual wield skill line, that last one, you could proc a bleed, which in turn can proc Valken Scoria. So it's another dot right there. If you do the maul, you can get that that penetration. Even though I think the pen is only for physical resist, as long as you get one with sharpened on it, that's really what you're going for, is to complete your 5-piece bonus for Silks of the Sun and get that sharpened trait so your dots can really penetrate through. Well, I hope you enjoyed the build. Again, there will be a test video loaded up, and I hope to see more Magic DKs PvPing in Cyrodiil and Imperial City Sewers. This is a class that we need to help bring back to its glory days, and unfortunately, with all the nerfs that have happened to it, it's just really hard to play, but it can be done. It's one of the classes where you get up in there and people are wailing on you and you're just putting CCs up with your talons and you're dotting them, putting your engulfing flames, hitting them with embers and lashing them as much as you can. And with this build, it's not a limp noodle. You know, it doesn't hit as hard as a stand blade, but hitting over 5k with a whip is not a limp noodle. So especially when you have all your dots are still pinging away at the same time. So I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment if you like it. Just say hi. I love running into you guys in Cyrodiil. It's always been great, and hope you all have a great day.